Okay, well, welcome, Kenneth. My name's Fola, and I'm just here to have an interview with this lovely gentleman about his life, the law of attraction, and so I'm very thankful that all of you watching could be here today with us. He's inspired me quite a bit, and that's why I've asked him to come in front of the camera today to talk a bit about what it is that motivates him in the day-to-day, to figure out how he does it and keeps up his energy so high, and how his spirituality in that is also a part of his life. So thank you, Kenneth. If you don't mind, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Fola, for inviting me to this. That's one thing I like to do, is talk about my journey and hope to help other people and inspire them as well. So my name is Kenneth Cantrill. Today I'm 2 years and 5 days 100% sober and killing it after a serious bout of crystal meth addiction and incarceration over the last 15 years. I've always had an intention to better my life and do good, but I really started to be able to implement those changes when I started to believe and learn and study metaphysics and spirituality, things such as the law of attraction. I didn't know exactly how to do it step by step. At first, it took a lot of research, and I was lucky enough to find a good spiritual mentor. But with some practice and some work, I was able to do it.
That's awesome. Yeah, you keep it going all the time, it seems, in my opinion, your energy and everything. And I guess one question I have for you is just, what do you think has really held you together in terms of keeping that going, And Is it you? Is it the community that you're part of? What exactly inspires you that way?
Well, it's a combination of a lot of things that help me stay on track and help me progressing forward in the right direction and keeping my energy up and being positive at the same time. That's a fundamental knowledge that what you think about, you bring about. Therefore, I don't dwell on anything that I don't want to happen or any negative situation. I recognize the feeling that gets generated at that time, and then I'm able to transform that negative feeling into something positive. And I do that using the law of attractions and using affirmations, and I put myself in an imaginative state of somewhere where I want to be that's successful, and then I say affirmations to affirm that, and then I generate a positive feeling. So in my own imagination, I'm able to generate positive feelings every time my physical surroundings are negative. And it's that positive feeling that I generate on my own manually that helps keep me from going back to finding happiness externally from some form of substance. I'm able to draw on my internal power to generate those happy feelings and get a dopamine release, just like somebody would from external stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love how you mix in the metaphysical and the scientific, because it's really, they're not separate, right? And that's so true. And you're right, it does come a lot of it internally in terms of we do create our own reality, and it's so important. And I'm going to assume if someone's watching this video, they're kind of along that path in life, and it's so great that they see how this has changed you, right? Your willingness to look into the future and visualize for yourself. So I know you'd mentioned too you had a mentor. Can you tell us a bit about who it is that you feel has impacted you the most in life, or people's?
So my spiritual mentor, his name is Howie Hoggins. I met him while I was incarcerated, and it was my 10th or 11th time being incarcerated, scrounging tooth and nail to find some sort of guidance and support. I was introduced to him. He was doing a program through the John Howard Society that helped guys build some fundamental skills for when they got out, and it gave them some resources. And when I was in his class, he introduced us to a couple teachings, one by Masaru Emoto, a Japanese scientist, where he changes the molecular structure of water using intention and feeling, and he'll just rate love or hate on a piece of paper and stick it to these water test tubes of water, and then after a certain amount of time he'll take a sample from each test tube and freeze it underneath a microscope. And as it's freezing, the water that has love on it will freeze in a beautiful crystalline symmetrical shape, but the water that had the hate on it wouldn't freeze in a crystal or be symmetrical whatsoever. It would just freeze as like a blob. So he did this like millions of different experiments of the same type. And that being said, like I was then aware that me being 73 around percent water, whatever my thoughts were and my intentions, that was affecting the electromagnetic energy of my body, and then that was influencing me to make poor choices, not be able to be in a state of self-love. It influenced me to self-sabotage myself, and my health. My health was definitely affected as well, like physical, mental, spiritual, everything. And that's all just from like our words and our intentions. So Howie Hawkins, he like, this information is not hidden, it's out there if we look for it, and it's just like these simple truths. You know, they weren't simple 10 years ago, but now that we have internet and social media, like all the information's out there. And for like recovery and somebody that's trying to rehabilitate themselves, these 12-step meetings just don't go deep enough to ensure lasting change and sobriety, because you know, somebody could fake sober and just swallow all their emotions and use a 12-step meeting as a crutch for the rest of their life, or they can learn new information and knowledge that empowers them to lose the desire for external substances and empowers them to change themselves internally, like with their thoughts, emotions, and feelings. And then when you empower somebody and give them the information to change their thoughts, emotions, and feelings, then like relapse is way less, chance of success is way higher, and it affects every area of their life, not just addictions or a life of crime like me, but it also affects my relationships, like with my family and my children. It affects me in the workplace. It affects me like on a creative scale. Sorry, I went on a tangent.
No, that's okay. And I mean, I think everyone is bound to meet their mentor or teacher or be one to other people too, right? And that's like, when you get that, just run with it. It's so good. And I know we've talked in the past how awesome it would be in order to see this way of thinking, this way of living life incorporated into the school system, right? Incorporated into prison systems. And that's kind of, I believe, what you've been trying to do with the other program that you're part of. And because I think it's really important as humans, we're supposed to give back to community. And that's something I know you're very much about. Can you touch a bit on that?
Okay, so back to my mentor, Howie Hawkins. When he was working in Edmonton Remand Center, he was facilitating a program on a volunteer basis called PEAK. PEAK stands for Positive Energy, Action, and Knowledge. And this is aside from his work with John Howard Society. But he would bring in books for us on spirituality and self-development and awareness, and lots of books on metaphysics and different platforms. And then we would study these books, and then we would discuss it in class with other inmates, and we would apply these certain techniques to our lives in our small little jail community. And we actually seen positive change amongst everybody that was doing this, whether it be like affirmations, goals, doing like ideal scene exercises, creative imagination, energy work, meditation, yoga. Like, we studied these things and we started applying them slowly at every opportunity that we could. And then it was changing guys' lives while they're incarcerated. So when I got out of jail, I maintained a relationship with Howie, and then we started the PEAK program on the street for the general public, but we specifically targeted anybody that was getting out of jail because it already was up and running there for a few years. So people that already knew about this, that were getting out of jail, had a positive support group to get out and go to and confide with and lean on and have support and mentorship on the street. It's something that was lacking before. They didn't have any type of mentorship or positive support system that was there, open and understanding to their situation, whether it's like homelessness or addiction or whatever. So now we have this program up and running in the Edmonton Public Library for 16 weeks. It was a great success. We had a full classroom every week, We went over different topics each week, whether it be on intentions, power of thought, power of belief, giving back to the community, different skills that we put together in a program just to help these gentlemen and females build a base of positive life skills. Okay. So that was my giving back.
Yeah, you're still always doing something, so that's awesome. Okay. And I'm sure the journey has not been necessarily an easy one. I mean, that's life, right? Like up and down and whatever. And you maybe, we all come from families where we maybe were told certain things and start having these truths and beliefs that, what we held to be true, right? What's one way that you've kind of overcome that, and that maybe you've become aware over time that, that was maybe a thought that is not really serving me right now?
I was taught by a yoga instructor once that the path to enlightenment is essential harmlessness to oneself and others. And that being said, so every thought that you have, it could either support love or it could support death. It could be of good connotation and good intention, or it could be a negative energy behind it. And whether you talk to somebody else or you're talking to yourself, every thought that we have either supports love or supports death. And when it supports death, it is not of essential harmlessness to oneself and others. Therefore, it restricts us on our path to enlightenment. And I feel like I'm definitely not an enlightened being, but I'm on a path. And I notice that when I keep my thoughts and my intentions of a pure and understanding, empathetic, compassionate, I'm able to experience negativity around me, but not let it affect me.
Yeah. Okay.
And like the experience is always going to be there. Life happens, shit happens, but do I reiterate it? Do I reiterate something to somebody else that's negative? Do I tell that negative story to somebody else? Do I let it affect me? Do I dwell on it? No, I don't. I don't dwell on anything. I take even if something negative happens to me, as long as I can turn it into a positive and learn something from it, then it's a positive. But I just got to find that thing to learn.
Okay. And I love the thing you guys would say, the best possible outcome.
BPO.
Just like I always catch myself, even though I never really was there in the groups when it was mentioned, but yeah, like totally, right? And that's something I'm always catching myself. Am I thinking or repeating something that's maybe a little negative, and like, why am I feeding that monster, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's just, it takes time, right? Repetition to get out of that. So, okay, awesome. Well, we'll kind of wrap it up here because I don't want to keep everyone too much. And I'm sure we will have many more interviews in the future because you've been awesome.
We'll keep pumping them out.
But, and I know you guys had a list of books, and we've talked a bit about like, what's his name, Neville Goddard, Neville Goddard,
Neville Goddard,
and like all this, like
Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah, like tell us a bit, like top 5 books if you had to, and like
top 5 books.
Top 5 books you would suggest for our listeners today to look into.
Okay. Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard, Power of Intention by Wayne Dyer, Power versus Force by David Hawking, Hidden Messages in Water by Masaru Emoto, and Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Okay. That's a lot of power.
That's a lot of power.
But we are powerful.
100%. And if you read those books, you become powerful. And not like to control others, but to control yourself and improve your life and live at peace and calm and serenity.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you so much. And thank you all for listening today. And if, any questions or whatever, please leave them in the comments section. I'll try to forward it off to him as well if it's for him.
Like this video, share it, and comment and add questions as much as you can. Well, anybody wants to know anything, we can help you. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, perfect.
That's why we're doing this.
Okay, well, thank you.
Peace. BPO.